What if the next 6 months quietly became the most important chapter of your life? Not because something dramatic happened, but because you finally decided to change the way you show up every single day. Most people wait for a perfect moment, a clean start, a burst of motivation. But life doesn't work like that. It moves forward whether you're ready or not. And somewhere deep down, you already know this. That feeling that you're capable of more, that you're meant to build something better, become someone stronger, live a life that actually feels like yours. The problem isn't lack of potential, it's lack of direction. So imagine this instead. You give yourself just 6 months, not forever, not one day, just 6 months of intentional living. A simple plan, a focused mind, a commitment to becoming slightly better every day. Not perfect, just consistent. Here's the truth most people avoid. Your life right now is a reflection of your daily habits, not your dreams, not your intentions, your habits. And that can feel heavy, but it's also powerful. Because if your habits built your current life, they can also rebuild it. So step 1 is brutally simple. Get clear, not vague goals like, I want success, or I want to be happy. Define it. What does success look like for you in 6 months? More money, better health, discipline, peace of mind. Write it down in a way that feels real. If you can't describe it, you can't build it. Now here's where most people quit mentally. They overcomplicate the path. They think they need a perfect strategy. But real change doesn't come from complexity. It comes from clarity and repetition. So instead of planning everything, focus on the next step. Ask yourself, what are the 3 to 5 habits that would move me closer to this version of myself? That's it. Maybe it's waking up earlier. Maybe it's working on a skill daily. Maybe it's exercising. Maybe it's reading instead of scrolling. Keep it simple, but make it non-negotiable. And here's the philosophical part most people ignore. Discipline is not punishment. It's self-respect in action. When you keep promises to yourself, even small ones, you start trusting yourself again. And that changes everything. But let's be honest. The first few weeks will feel exciting. Then comes resistance, boredom, doubt. That voice in your head saying this isn't working. This is where most people stop. Not because they can't continue, but because they don't understand the process. Growth is not loud. It's quiet. It happens in repetition, in days that feel the same, in moments where nothing seems to be changing. But under the surface, everything is shifting. So instead of chasing motivation, learn to sit with discomfort. Accept that not every day will feel meaningful. Some days will feel slow, even pointless. But those days matter the most. There's an old Stoic idea. You don't control outcomes, you control effort. And when you truly understand that, you stop being obsessed with results and start respecting the process. Now step 2, remove what's holding you back. Because transformation is not just about adding habits. It's about removing distractions. Look at your day honestly. Where's your time going? Social media? Overthinking? Procrastination? You don't need to eliminate everything. Just reduce what's draining your energy. Create space for what matters. Because focus is not about doing more. It's about doing less but better. And here's something people rarely talk about. You're allowed to enjoy the process. This isn't supposed to feel like suffering all the time. Yes, it requires effort, but it can also feel fulfilling, even playful, even exciting. Curiosity is your secret weapon. Instead of forcing yourself, explore your growth. Ask questions, experiment, try different routines, learn what works for you. Because your journey doesn't have to look like anyone else's. And slowly something shifts. You stop chasing change and you start becoming it. Now step 3 is where everything connects. Track your progress, but not in a stressful way. Just observe. Notice how you feel. Notice what's improving. Because awareness builds confidence. After a month, you'll start seeing small changes. More energy, more focus, more control. And that's dangerous in a good way. Because now you realize you were never stuck. You were just unstructured. But don't rush. This is a 6-month journey. Think long-term. Think steady. Because real transformation isn't about becoming a completely different person overnight. It's about becoming a stronger version of who you already are. And here's the deeper truth. This plan isn't really about success. It's about alignment, living in a way that feels honest, building a life that reflects your values. So don't just follow steps blindly. Think, reflect, adjust, stay present. Because at the end of these 6 months, the goal isn't just to achieve something. It's to become someone who can keep going. And maybe that's the real success. Now imagine you've already been following this plan for a few weeks. The excitement has faded a little. The routine is starting to feel real. And this is where things get interesting, because now it's not about motivation anymore. It's about identity. You're no longer trying to change your life. You're trying to prove something to yourself, that you can stay consistent, that you can handle discomfort, that you can move forward even when no one is watching. This is where most people struggle quietly, not because the plan is hard, but because their mind starts negotiating. Skip today. Start tomorrow. It's not that important. And if you're not careful, those small excuses slowly rebuild your old life. So here's step 4. Learn to catch yourself in those moments. Not with guilt, but with awareness. Notice the pattern, because once you see it clearly, it loses power over you. There's a simple idea from Stoic thinking. You're not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. And that changes everything, because it means you don't have to follow every feeling. You can choose your actions anyway. So when you don't feel like showing up, show up anyway. Not perfectly, just enough. Because consistency is not about intensity. It's about continuity. Now let's talk about something deeper. Fear. Not obvious fear, but subtle fear. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Even fear of success. Because change is uncomfortable even when it's positive. You might start doubting yourself, questioning your progress, comparing your journey with others. This is normal, but it's also dangerous if you let it grow. So step 5 is simple but powerful. Stay in your lane. Your path is your responsibility, not anyone else's. Focus on your progress, your habits, your mindset. Because comparison doesn't inspire growth, it creates insecurity. And insecurity leads to hesitation. And hesitation kills momentum. Instead, build a quiet confidence. The kind that doesn't need validation. The kind that comes from knowing you're doing the work. And here's something important. Don't isolate yourself completely. Growth doesn't mean disconnecting from life. Talk to people. Share your journey. Learn from others. Because sometimes one conversation can shift your entire perspective. But be selective. Surround yourself with people who support your growth, not those who drain your energy. Now step 6. Reflect deeply. At the end of each week, take a few minutes. Ask yourself what worked, what didn't, what can I improve? This keeps you grounded. It turns your journey into a learning process, not just a routine. And it keeps things interesting, because you're not just repeating actions, you're evolving. And slowly something powerful starts happening. You begin to enjoy the process, not just the idea of success, but the daily effort itself, the small wins, the discipline, the clarity. This is where balance comes in. Don't take everything too seriously. Yes, your goals matter, but so does your peace, your joy, your curiosity. Laugh sometimes. Take breaks. Appreciate how far you've come, because life is not just about reaching the destination. It's about experiencing the journey fully. And then one day you look back, 6 months later, and you realize something strange. The biggest change wasn't external. It was internal. You think differently. You act differently. You trust yourself more. And the life you wanted, it's no longer just an idea. It's something you've started building. So here's the final thought. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need to start and keep going. 6 months will pass anyway. The only question is, will you still be the same person? If something in this message connected with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share your thoughts, your struggles, your goals. Drop them in the comments. Let's build something real together.